Welcome back to Broader Financial Future, aka BFF, to all my future millionaires out there. Hopefully you're having an amazing day so far. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the top 3 ETFs to have in 2021. You don't want to miss today's video, so stay tuned. And just a disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is strictly for entertainment purposes only, and any investment may involve risks, so it's important that you do your due diligence. So let's jump into today's video. And today's video is all about the top 3 ETFs to have in 2021. So you're looking to have some diversity in your portfolio. You don't want to pick any individual stocks. ETFs is a great way to get into the market. That way you have a bucket of companies to own without having to pick one. It's like going to a restaurant and getting an appetizer without having to choose one in particular meal. So let's jump into the top 3 ETFs. First ETF on my list is Invesco QQQ Trust, ticker QQQ. Now you can find this one basically on any major brokerage account. This is in a large growth category. This ETF focuses on the NASDAQ 100 index. So this is what it's going to basically track. This one was created in 1999, so it has a lot of history. It's issued by Invesco. Now, they have a net assets of $153 billion. And year to date, they're up 8%. Now, last year, the 1 year mark, they're up 58%. In the 3 years, 28%. So if you look at the last 3 years, they're looking really good, especially for the 1 year mark. And this year, they're not doing too shabby as well. They do have a dividend yield of 0.55%, and their expense ratio is 0.2%. So those are basically like the fees that's associated with this particular ETF. Now let's look at some of their major holdings. Some of their major holdings include Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Facebook, Google, Class C and Class A, Nvidia, PayPal, Intel. So instead of having to buy any of these individual companies, owning this ETF, you're going to get a piece of all of those major companies. Apple, for instance, it accounts for 10%, 0.98% of the holdings. Microsoft is doing really well lately, 9.52%. Amazon, who doesn't have Amazon Prime? Well, I don't, but Amazon is still good as well. So you're getting a little bit of everything without having to worry about just picking one. So if you're interested in these companies, this might be a good ETF to start with. That way you don't have to just pick one. Now, the next ETF on my list is Healthcare Select Sector SPDR Fund, ticker XLV. Now, this isn't a healthcare sector, so their whole focus is on healthcare, especially with the recent events of the past year. Healthcare is important. This is a good one because, unfortunately, unless you're Superman, everybody gets sick. This one was created in 1998. It's issued by SPDR, State Street Global Advisors. They have net assets of $24 billion. Now, year to date, they're up 7.3%, a little lower than QQQ, but it's still doing pretty well. The 1 year mark is 22.44%, and in 3 years at 15.87%. Now, they do have a higher dividend at 1.5%. A lot of healthcare typically offer a larger dividend, and they do have a lower expense ratio at 0.12%. So those are some of the key metrics there. And here, you're going to get major companies like Johnson & Johnson, United Health Group, Abbott Laboratories, AbbVie. AbbVie is actually one of my favorite dividend companies. Pfizer is another one. Merck, or Thermo Fisher, Eli Lilly, and Medtronic. Actually, I never heard of that one. I might have to look into it. But you're getting basically all those major brands when it comes to this particular ETF. So if you're looking into healthcare, you're not sure which particular company to get into, you can go with this ETF. That way you have like a bucket of different healthcare companies, and you're going to have basically some of the biggest ones out there in the market today. Last but not least on my list is SPDR Portfolio S&P 500 High Dividend ETF, ticker SPYD. hey, I talk about dividends, I love dividends, why not end with this one? So this is an index that is designed to measure the performance of 80 high dividend yielding companies within the S&P 500. So they're looking at basically the top 80 dividend companies that's in the S&P 500, including stock and real estate investments trusts like REITs. So this one's a newer one compared to the other ones. This one was actually created in 2015. This one is actually issued by the same company, SPDR, State Street Global Advisors. Now, they have a smaller net assets at 2.77 billion. Their year to date is actually doing really, really good at 20.25%. Last year, or the 1 year mark, they're up 52.87%. And when I look at their 3 year mark, it's 8.35%. Now, they have a great dividend at 4.43%. And they actually have the lowest expense ratio at 0.07%. Now, one thing I can say is when it comes to dividends, a lot of my dividend companies are actually doing fairly well. So I can kind of see why this one is kind of kicking off as well. And when I look at some of their top holdings, they actually have some unique ones here that I'm not too familiar with. But they have the Holly Frontier Corp, Valero Energy Corp, People's United Finance, Canoga Phillips, Seagate Technology, Xerox, great name, Hewlett Packard, and Marathon Petroleum. So those are some of the top 10 holdings when it comes to this particular, as well as Simon Property Group and Region Centers Corp. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Each ETF offers something different. So for example, if you're looking more so for dividend and dividend yield, SPDR might be the one for you, especially when it comes to cash flow. And it looks like a lot of people are starting to pour into that market. That's why year to date is up the most so far. But things can always change. But if you're looking for yield, this might be the one. Or you know what? You want to get more into like healthcare. You believe in Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, United Health Group, then XLV might be the one for you. If you want to kind of focus on healthcare and you think healthcare is the future, that's another ETF to look at. Or you want to look at more like technology-based companies, QQQ might be the one as well. If you want to get more into like the Apples, the Googles, and the Facebook. So all three offer a great advantage if you want to just kind of get into the stock market. And the great thing about these, they're not index funds where they're typically specific to a certain brokerage. These you can basically buy on Robinhood, Webull, which I have linked down below, M1 Finance, which I have linked below as well, Fidelity, whatever your brokerage account is, or you just want to open up a brokerage account, you pretty much can find these there. So let me know, do you own any of these ETFs? Are you planning to buy any of these ETFs? What are some of your favorite ETFs to own? Leave your comments below. And don't forget to like, comment, and share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. It really helps out the channel greatly. And until next time, everybody, peace.